It's historic Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana. And there's smoke on the track in the form of the behemoth Duramax Diesel Pro Stock tractors of the ATPA's Lucas Oil Power Pulling Series. If you like smoke and horsepower, then you're in the right place. It's all coming up next on the Outdoor Channel.
We're at Salem Speedway for the Dixie Chopper Hoosier Nationals. One of the most popular classes in all of the Lucas Oil Power Pulling Series is the Duramax Diesel Pro Stocks. And big news this year, Pro Stocks are now allowed to run a component chassis. What is a component chassis? Why are all the Pro Stocks heading in that direction? We thought we'd talk to a guy that's got one of the early ones out here, the Barely Getting By team, Steve Wishmeyer. Why the switch to a component chassis?
Oh, I think it's a whole lot safer chassis to run. You get rid of all your cast bell housings and all that type of stuff, and just make it a whole lot easier to work on also.
Well, when you're talking easier to work on, maybe explain a little bit, if you could, how difficult it was to work on the Duramax Diesel Pro Stock tractors without this chassis, the chassis you were running in the past. I mean, maybe, explain it a little bit. What's it mean by a component chassis?
Well, basically a component chassis is from front to back. It's all one piece. All your frame rails, nothing comes apart. It all stays together. All you do is pick up the motor straight up out of the frame. You do not split the frame from the rest of the tractor when you're splitting it and taking the motor out.
So it's kind of like, for lack of a better word, maybe like what you'd see at an NHRA funny car drag race. It's just a chassis, and then you put the sheet metal, the engine, and everything around it.
Pretty much so, yes.
Is there a competitive advantage? I mean, are you going to be more successful on the track running one of these chassis?
We're supposed to be, but I guess only time will tell.
Well, let's go trackside and find out how Barely Getting By does.
Tom McConnell, thank you very much, and that is absolutely monumental. Mike Linder is up first here at Salem. We will talk about those component tractors as the rest of this event unfolds. Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Cox along with you, and Mike will get things started on the John Deere tractor called Linder Brothers. And Mike is huffing and puffing pretty heavy at the end of this run. In fact, he is going to rehook a little later in this event. The first driver has the option of doing that. Now, Steve Wishmeyer is second. He started the year on an older tractor, and then he switched over to this, a new component tractor, as Tom McConnell was speaking of a few moments ago. And Steve Wishmeyer will once again go up in smoke. He gets toward the end of this run, and the ATPA is going to sit back and say, let's take another look at this and reweight this sled as flames burst out from underneath, Barely Getting By. It's time to check in now with the third member of our broadcast crew, Bill Stevens, as we have a big mess to clean up here. So a lot of things are going on all at once. We're trying to put a fire out with Steve Wishmeyer. They're going to reweight this sled. You're going to see them taking some weight out of this, and Bill is standing by with Steve.
Well, in the words of our ex-president, I feel your pain.
Yeah, it ain't real great right now, but that's part of it. I mean, we come out here to, do the best we can with these things and really stretch them to their limits, and we're finding our limits.
Without taking a look at it, any idea how bad it is under there?
And I mean, it blew the chargers, what happened, and I hope it ain't too bad. It looked a whole lot worse than I hope it is anyway.
All right, we'll look for you next time.
Bill, it looked pretty bad to me. Lance Little is coming up next. He is actually our first official pull because, once again, Steve Wishmeyer may or may not be back. Mike Linder will definitely have another shot at it now that we have fresh weights put on the Iron Man by the ATPA. His old tractor was called Gangrene. Now he's calling it a Mere Deer. And now we will get our first official length of the day, 277.78 feet. And we also have some news now that Steve Wishmeyer will not be returning. We'll talk about Steve a little bit later. The Lucas Oil replay for Lance Little on a mirror deer shows that he's pulling out just a bit to the left. You just got some blow by and some steam coming out of the bottom of the tractor. That's normal on these Duramax Diesel Pro Stock tractors, and that is a good run.
277 plus, I guess the question that you always get asked at this point is, do you think it'll hold up?
No, I don't. I think the track, the moisture will keep coming. It'll lay in a little bit better and a lot tighter, and there's still way too many tractors back there. I was satisfied with the run for the position I was in, but I think the track's going to lay in. There's guys like Schoep back there and Typin, and there's just too many big headers. Steve Boyd, that won't hold for tonight, but I'm happy with the run.
Well, these guys usually have a pretty good feel on what a good run is, so keep his fingers crossed.
Only one official pull. We've already seen fire and smoke. Hang in there. More of the Pro Stocks coming up next. The Dixie Chopper Hoosier Nationals are brought to you by Dixie Chopper, maker of the world's fastest lawnmower. And also by Lucas Oil Products, the world leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants. Let's head straight back down to the dirt surface at Salem Speedway. Concrete asphalt on the outside, and we poured dirt on the infield today. And now it's the three-time ATPA world champion and the defending title holder, Steve Boyd, on Green Streak. Riverside Engines takes care of his power plants, and Steve never misses a Sunday church service. He'll tell you so, too. 298.36 feet, almost a full pull, and easily tops for the day. Let's take one more look at it. This time, you can jump inside Steve's helmet and take a look at the Lucas Oil replay, sliding to the side just a little to the left, and he corrects that with brake as he gets to the end of the run.
.298.36, you're raising the bar.
Well, we hope that'll be far enough, but you never know until it's over. It wasn't a perfect run. There may be somebody get me, but we're happy we got that far.
Somebody will need a full pull, probably, to push Steve off the top.
Thanks, Bill. Ed Eilenfeld is up next on Nameless. Ed pulls out of Ohio. He's a regular on the Super Grand American Tour. Let's see if he's got anything for Steve Boyd on Green Streak. They posted numbers over 298. Really working that wheel, and he lost the balance on the tractor at the end, and when that happens, you might as well shut it down. 250 feet plus is all Ed will get out of it. Dan Christiani is up next on Gotta Go Deer. This is a John Deere 6030. Winding him up slowly. Look at the left foot. He's on the clutch right there, letting out of it very slowly, and now he puts the power down to see what he's got. You saw the rear tires slip just a touch over to the right. He tries to correct that and ends up getting crossed up 281 feet, nowhere near Steve Boyd's mark. And Bill Stevens, you could really see that coming as Christiani got to the center of the track. He just really got crossed up, and let's find out what went wrong. Talk to him a bit.
Well, you saw the number that the reigning world champion put up, a 298. You knew you were going to have to pretty much do a full pull to get past him. Not quite, Danny.
Right, yeah, I was trying to do everything I could, and, the track's kind of tough here tonight, and tried everything I had anyway. So
better luck next time.
Mike Linder, very experienced, will be up next. Tire pressure, absolutely vital. The veterans know how to do it. The left foot comes up, the clutch is released, blow-by coming out the bottom, black smoke out the top, and Mike Linder is shooting for 298 feet. Essentially, again, a full pull is what you've got to have. He is very close to the boundaries on the right side of the track, and 296.38 is a very solid second place showing. You want to see this again. The Lucas Oil replay will show that Mike Linder starts drifting halfway down the track, and he corrects it once again, not with the steering so much, but with the brakes. He's starting to pull to the right side of the track, and he puts some left brake on to pull it back to the center, and he's standing by with Bill Stevens.
Well, one of the most frequently used words in motorsports, almost, 296.
Well, that's better than the first time. I'll keep it. So,
I don't blame you.
Everything's going good. I would certainly want to thank the promoters and the sponsors, Lucas, and I can't name them all, I'm sorry. My crew, everybody. So it's turned out to be a better track than it looked like the first time, so I think it'll improve from here.
Bill, it's not just a good track as you get a really good look there at Larry Shope on Iron Dragon. We also have just a perfect weight balance on the Ironman. ATPA officials obviously made an excellent call reweighting this, taking some of the weight out because you want to get these guys the tops of the field as close as you can to a full pull without quite making it, and that's exactly what's happened so far. Larry Shope runs out of track on the right side. The 4430 Series John Deere up in smoke, 296.22 feet. A very, very close second. Take a look at this replay. The Lucas Oil replay shows Larry really sawing on that wheel. If you can make a difference with the front wheels, you don't have to use the brakes, and that's always a plus. Bill Stevens stands by with Larry.
Well, if nothing were to change, last year's runner-up, Larry Shope, would come in third, 296.22.
Well, that wasn't too bad a run there. We didn't know what to expect. The track was a little bit different there, and we kind of second-guessed ourselves a couple times there, and I guess I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Not many guys have gone even as far as Larry tonight.
You know, that's a good point, Bill. I mean, the Chevy leaderboard shows that, man, you're either in the game here or you're not. Dan Christiani on down from 281 feet back to 256, guys that weren't even close. The top three, you could throw a blanket over them at Salem. So far, the top three have made a show of it here at Salem Speedway. Let's check in now with Tom McConnell with the Lucas Oil Power Pulling Series.
This week's Jasper Engines Pulling 101 has to do with the question that the ATPA got over the internet. The question is, in the Duramax Diesel Pro Stock category, you have these massive exhaust systems, and when the tractors take off the starting line, you see this incredible plume of smoke and a huge flame, and there's a reason for all of that power, because the end result is pulling the sled as far down the track as you can, but the starting line, it's so violent, and the question is, and we're going to ask Steve Boyd, Steve, why do you guys build so much boost, and it just looks so violent at the starting line? What's going on?
Well, this class is 10,000 pound, and it's the heaviest class, and it takes a lot to turn the wheels, and when you put them in a big fast gear, you want to get far as you can, and you have to rev it up a lot to have enough boost to go. If you don't rev it enough, you don't have enough wheel speed or enough boost, enough RPMs to keep it going. So the object is to get her up strong and get her going.
Well, how much boost pressure do you think your tractor's making? Or I know a lot of guys are running the computer systems now. Will you tell us?
Yeah, they'll run 100 to 120 pounds of intake and 120 to 140 of exhaust. That's pretty common.
And a stock Duramax diesel truck, you have any idea what the boost pressure would be?
Probably not very much, 7 or 8 pounds, imagine, or something. I really don't know.
Well, that's a good way to explain it. And I guess the last question here of the Pulling 101, Steve, when you come off the starting line, what does that feel like as a driver? I mean, it's just gotta be awesome.
Well, I think when you do it, you know, from the beginning, it's probably quite a burst to you, but if you've done it a lot, why, it's about like hooking to the plow or anything else. You don't think nothing about it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think everybody in America is going to be thinking about the fact when you guys launch off the starting line with your weight and what you need to do, there's nothing more awesome than this sport of pulling.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very competitive. It's pretty hard on parts. You know, we last year probably about every pull we had to panel, put all new bearings in. Of course, Lucas came to my shop and looked at what we was doing and done his own homework on what oil to use. We went to 2050 synthetic and their stabilizers, and I don't know, we're getting 6 or 7 runs out of them and not hurting the bearings. So it's pretty amazing that he's that you know, he's really good at what he does. We're running whole lot more horsepower than we were 2 or 3 years ago.
And how much horsepower you got now?
Not enough.
We'll see who's got enough. Let's go back trackside.
Well, Tom, he said it was just like hooking up to a plow, but I mean, I grew up on a small farm and I've hooked a few plows, and this didn't look like anything that I ever did. Well, welcome back to the action. We've got Carlton Cope on Warpath coming up next. and you can hear that engine screaming as Carlton Cope keeps the revs up, keeps that turbo wound as tight as he possibly can, and goes 279 feet. And so far, it continues to be the story of the haves and the have-nots. Let's try it one more time. This is Mark Collier out of Greenville, Tennessee, and Cool Running. So Mark Collier in Cool Running, 292.7 feet. He breaks into the top 4, and that is no easy task given the fact that we've got some heavy hitters, including Steve Boyd up front. We'll look at it again. You see him looking over at that front right tire. That one right there. He's just got it turned a little bit to the right and makes a very nice run out of it. Tim Stone and Roland Stone out of Greensburg, Indiana. It's not a fur piece, as they say, from Greensburg to Salem. You can make the trip in an hour, hour and a half, something like that. Tim Stone is a regular on the Midwest Grand American Series Tour, and he needs at least 290 feet, hopefully a full pull. 266.08, and once again 298 is tops. That came from Steve Boyd very early in the event. Mike Linder, Larry Shope, and Mark Collier all besting the 292 mark, and so far no full pulls from Salem. Today's event brought to you by Duramax Diesel, the most powerful diesel engines available in a heavy-duty pickup. And by Real Power, turn your truck into a mobile power unit. And we welcome you back to Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana, about an hour or so north of Louisville, Kentucky. Puller 10 is Sharon Typen on Nightlife. Listen to those revs come up as Sharon pulls the left foot slowly off the clutch. The tractor is drifting to the right, as it has done most of the day with a lot of our pullers. And Sharon winds up at 265.3 feet. Mike Boyd on Green Streak 2. Another Hoosier is up next. He's from Washington, Indiana. Part of about 1/3 or 1/4. I don't know how many people are in this. It's Boyd & Sons pulling team. We got Greg, we got Mike, we got Steve, and a lot of champions in that Boyd clan as well. We need a full pull, and Green Streak 2 will not get the job done, 281.4. But Steve Boyd goes 298 plus. Bill Stevens, it looks like they would share notes.
281, but it didn't look like you were cutting dead any slack there. You were going for the kill.
Yeah, these tractors are new this year, and we got a lot of ironing out to do. We'll have to do some adjusting on my clutch. It was taking off before I was ever ready, but it's okay. It's first pull of the year, and really special thanks to Lucas Oil Products. Helped us out a lot. That have some super products, and just amazing the way you know how good they are. Try them. But Riverside Engine, Columbus Diesel, Bob Parks, Tim Engler, a great bunch of people we work with, and last but not least, the ATPA super outfit.
His dad and his brother, great pulling family out here.
Absolutely, Bill. And, you know, we've seen a little bit of that throughout the day. We've seen the ATPA go back and reweight the sled. We've seen Steve Wishmeyer come out and break something very early with a turbo problem. Guys are still sorting out their rides for the year. They've got to work on the clutches. They've got to get the balance just right, working on air pressure and so forth. Mickey Shorter up now on Buck Eater, but that's something that we've seen a lot today. It's still early in the season, and that's just kind of the way it goes. 271.62. for Mickey Shorter on Buck Eater, and it's time for the Lucas Oil Best Engineered Tractor. And now, here's Bill with our winner.
This time on the Lucas Oil Best Engineered Award, we're going to talk to a gentleman who, if there were a Big Daddy Don Garlitz of tractor pulling, this man might qualify. It's Don Masterson, the many-time champion Pro Stock Tractor class. And I guess the big news for you, Don, is not only have you won Best Engineered, but the chassis of this tractor is one of those new component-type chassis. What's the difference between this platform and the ones that most guys have been using?
See, we had like a 125 horsepower tractor. The powertrain before was developed for 125 horsepower. And so as these engine developers, you know, kept developing this horsepower, well, then the cast iron components, the gearing, and that sort of thing. You know, the cast iron just wouldn't take it anymore, and so actually it was getting unsafe, and that's why, you know, it's kind of a rush to build these tractors. And then they're so much easier to work on if you do have to ever work on it. You know, it's so much easier to do. So it's really a big plus to go component. I really believe that.
Was there any difference in the way that the tractor felt the first time that you ran it with a new chassis?
Yeah, I think it runs smoother, and actually really enjoyed, you know, the tractor a lot because it was just smoother, and I think it's a route to go.
And let's not lose sight of the fact that the craftsmanship on this tractor is impeccable. That's why he is the best engineered winner from Lucas Oil this time around.
Thank you, Bill. That just gives you such an opportunity as a team member to put the weight where you want it on the tractor, and weight balance is absolutely everything as we watch Kevin Masterson on Tinker Toy. Now, Kurt and Craig Weilman, if you follow the ATPA Tour, those guys have done a ton of pulling in their day. Kurt and Craig do the body work on Masterson's Angler chassis. And Kevin is going to pull to the right, as has everyone else, and 300 feet will break the barrier. We finally get a full pull. So that's got to be our Burns Best hot pull of the day. Finally, the last guy in line makes it work. Congratulations to Kevin Masterson.
And Trophy Queen Jolene Maddox presenting a T-Max winch to our winner tonight, Kevin Masterson. And Kevin, we mentioned earlier in the show that for someone to win, they're probably going to have a full pull to beat Steve Boyd, and on the last run you did it.
Well, that was my first trip ever on that tractor. We just got done building it, and I'm just absolutely tickled to death. It's actually my dad's tractor, but he wanted me to give a shot at it, and I like it.
While everybody else was entering the season trying to sort out their equipment, Kevin Masterson and his dad, thank you, are all over it with the only full pull of the day. Congratulations, Kevin, and thank you for joining us here at Salem Speedway. I'm Stephen Cox for Tom McConnell and Bill Stevens. So long, everybody.